So we have a few people joining as well who we haven't met before. I see Lee and Lisa and Lee. Did you pronounce your name Lee's? And then Maya and Sequoia, you guys have your video off. But as everyone else is joining, would you all be willing to introduce yourselves and share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Lee Rydell. I live in Flagstaff, Arizona. I did live in Maui for a while. And I am part of the Four Winds Society, Alberto. So I took his shaman courses, and I've been to Peru and to different places around the world. And now I'm retired and trying to figure out what I'm going to do.
Great. And I actually used to live in Flagstaff way back in 1996, 1997, 1998. I lived out in what is used to be quite a rural area of Doney Park, but is no longer a rural area.
And I'm not from here. I'm from the East Coast, Ithaca, New York, but I've been here a couple of years. And I was on one of your calls a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for joining us again, Lee.
You're welcome.
I have to jump in here right now. I don't know if you can see me, Lee. I know you from the Finger Lakes. We did shamanic circles at Pat's house together. You came out to my land in the National Forest. Hi. Wow, this is great.
Oh my God.
Tiny world. Yeah.
Where are you now?
I am on Kauai. So let's exchange our emails or something in the chat.
Okay.
So, cool. Yay. That's great. Thank you, Scott, for facilitating this kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks, Sequoia. Glad that small world coincidences can happen. Okay, Lise, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm actually in Southwest France, so it's about 11 o'clock at night here. Hence, it's so dark. But I live in the woods here. I teach meditation, and I also teach tarot, and I practice tarot. I've kind of been called to this for a long time. I've journeyed before. I've got friends who have helped me, but I've only just started. I'm in the beginners class, or the foundations class rather, and yeah, I'm just absolutely loving it. Feel incredibly happy and privileged to be here.
Thanks so much, and thanks for joining us. Yeah, I've really enjoyed hearing about your first two journeys, so that was wonderful. And yeah, thanks for making time for the call in the middle of the night there. That's great. So you and Mike are over in Europe, and we have Ronald in Australia. Nice to see you, Ronald. You want to just introduce yourself briefly and say hi? I haven't seen you since last year when you were over here. So there's a mute button here. I'll unmute you. There you go. Now we can hear you.
How are you?
Great. How are you doing? Good morning.
Good. Very good. It's 9 o'clock in the morning in Australia, so it's nice and early. It's a good day. I did that retreat 12 months ago, just over 12 months ago, and came back and did a couple of other courses, then went into lockdown. So it's been locked down until a couple of days ago.
Happy Freedom Day.
It is, yeah, so good. They did open the swimming pools about a month ago with restrictions, but I've been able to get back into swimming, which is really good.
Yeah. So, well, good. I'm glad and really nice to see you. And
good to see you too.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Okay, so we have a couple of other people. I see Maya and Lisa. You could just say hi,
hello.
Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa. I'm actually still working right now, so that's why I'm not on video.
No worries. Thanks for joining us.
I originally was interested in doing your retreat, and I had signed up, but I wasn't able to go because it was too soon. So I signed up for some other things with, on email. So this is actually my first experience with any of this. So.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Lisa. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks. And Christina and Sharon, would you guys just say hello and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Christina. I was here last, sometime in the summer when we did ever the last one, I think.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for doing these.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again. And
Hi.
Sharon?
Yes, hi. I'm just from Michigan, and I've also been exploring shamanism for the past year and a half or so, and have recently found and discovered you. So I just wanted to touch base and start learning more about what you have to offer and how your approach works.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Sharon. And Maya, can you hear us? If you could unmute yourself, we can hear you. There you go.
Hello. Okay, this is video, it's all right. I can't really get to do it. I'm in Vancouver. I'm trying to get the video going. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, hello, I'm in Vancouver. I'm from London. I live in Vancouver. And I'm a Reiki healer and a teacher, Reiki teacher, meditation and yoga teacher. And I was interested in your shamanic course. A year or so ago, I was hoping to come. Yeah, so I've been enjoying reading your articles and listening to what you're doing, and hoping to come and do one of your courses.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And yeah, the whole COVID thing has changed a lot of travel plans, obviously. But we have been doing a lot of online courses and these meetings. And so it's one of the best things about the shamanic work is it does transcend the physical barriers of time and space. And so we're able to work together even at a distance. We don't even necessarily need to do the video calls, but it's nice for the teaching, and everybody working together at the same time is a wonderful thing. But when we do a lot of our distance work and our shamanic training, when I do sessions or when we're working with the students in the classes and the people who have graduated doing sessions, we rarely need to be on video with anybody because it transcends all those physical limitations.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that a lot, doing a lot of distant Reiki in this time as well, distant healing sessions. Some of them are a lot more poignant and give more information than in person. Yeah.
Yes, it's interesting like that because we're almost in a more neutral field when we're doing it at a distance than when we're engaging with a person directly.
Yeah, exactly. Personality's not getting in the way. Ego stuff.
Yeah, great. So before we move forward onto the intention of today's meeting, I did want to ask if everybody who is on the call has journeyed before and has looked at, if you haven't journeyed before, if you took a look at the video instructions on how to journey that I had sent out previously. Is anybody, so let me ask it this way, has anybody not journeyed to the drum before? No? Okay, great. So everybody knows, so when I start drumming, everybody's going to know how to go to the lower world or to the upper world if you choose, and do the journey work in that way. And everybody has met, is there anybody who hasn't met their power animal? Okay, great. So we're all on the same page. That's important. Thank you all for doing your preparation work if you haven't already been in class with me.
Can I interrupt? I was typing it. I was typing my note, but
Okay.
I have read the email, and I do have an understanding of what I need to do, but I have not personally done it and met my power animal.
Okay, Lisa. So then what would be best is that when we start the journey, you need to pick a, so let me review it really quickly. So you need to pick a location that you've been to in ordinary reality.
Okay.
That will serve as an opening to go down to the lower world.
Okay.
And so why don't you go ahead and think about that right now? Usually it's a cave or a spring or a body of water or something that will serve as a tunnel.
Okay.
And something that's in nature as well, like a nature place.
I have a lake close to where I live.
Okay, so what you will do is when the drumming starts, you're going to go down through that lake. So you're going to put in your mind's eye your body at that lake, and you're going to travel down through that lake. And as you continue to go down through that tunnel, you're going to ask, when you get out of the tunnel, first thing you're going to do is you're going to ask, am I in the lower world? And if the answer is no, then you're going to ask, please take me to the lower world or direct me there. So you're going to want to make sure that you get to the lower world.
So I'm looking to go to the lower world.
That's correct. And if the answer is yes, that you are in the lower world, then what you want to do is you want to ask to meet your power animal.
Okay.
Okay. Then once you've met your power animal, explain to your power animal the purpose of you being there, which today is to help bring balance and healing to the web of life.
Okay.
Okay. And that's it. And then just trust. Then just allow it to flow. It will flow similar to the experience of being in a dream. That's why it's called the dream time.
Mm-hmm.
And it will flow similar to that experience of when you're dreaming, things will happen. You don't have to make anything happen. All you're
Okay.
doing is setting the intent, and then your power animal will do that. Now, if you get down there and you're in the lower world and you ask to meet your power animal, and then your power, you don't see it, you see something and it says, I'm not your power animal,
Mm-hmm.
then ask, please take me to or direct me to my power animal. So keep doing that until you have met your power animal. Once you have a positive confirmation that you are in contact with your power animal, at that point, you ask to have healing brought to the web of life. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi. Okay, so I see Anita joining us. Hi, nice to see you. When you have a moment, once you've parked your vehicle, you can unmute yourself and just say hi and introduce yourself to everybody. And while we're continuing, what I'll do right now is I'll just explain a little bit of our specific intention for today. So in general, our meetings for Healing for the Web are about bringing healing and balance to the web of life. And the intention is to make a positive contribution to the web of life, to use this shamanic work to help put things back into right relationship, and specifically to help the humans of this planet to step into our roles as caretakers of the web of life. Okay, it's a consciousness that in ancient times and indigenous cultures, we were all grown up, people as humans were grown up with this idea that we are custodians of the web of life. And this is the rightful role and purpose of human beings, is to caretake and act as custodians for the earth, for the web of life, for future generations. Now, obviously, that is not the consciousness with which most people are raised in the modern world. Far cry from it. There's a very different consciousness that we are indoctrinated with and immersed within as children. And some people have an awareness that, hey, this is out of alignment, we want to change and take steps to change themselves. Other people don't, okay? And so what we're doing in these Healing for the Web of Life meetings is sending out a prayer and asking that that consciousness spread across the planet, okay? We don't control how that happens. We ask our power animals, we ask our ancestors, we ask our upper world teachers and spirit helpers to help spread that consciousness, to help put things back in right relationship. Okay, and specifically now we have an event, a human event that's coming up. Well, it's been ongoing, but it is coming up next week, the finale of it, which is the election, presidential election in the United States. And without allowing my personal opinion of what I think should happen, I'm going to put out the intention for this journey that we want the result to be that which is in highest good for the web of life, to bring the web of life back into balance and to bring humanity's relationship to the web of life back into balance in a way where we can step into our roles of custodians and caretakers of the web. So we look to leadership as human beings, whether it's in a tribe or in a family or as a country, we look to leadership. And so as we're voting now in America on the potential change in leadership or continuation of the same leadership, we want to make sure that that leadership is aligned with the future positive caretaking of the web of life and leading humanity in a way that caretakes the web of life. Okay, so we're just going to ask that that result be aligned with that. Now, understand the wording, the result is more than just a simple win-loss. Okay, it's not only who wins and who loses, but it's how they win and lose and the process of the transference of power if leadership does transfer power. Okay, so that's an equally important part of what happens. Okay, there's a big difference between somebody winning and the losing party going, you won, and peaceful transition to power, than something being hung up with courts and chaos and things like that. Okay, so that's a very large part of what we're journeying on as well. Okay, so please make sure to include that in your, if not your specific request, at least in your understanding as you're asking the question. And a second thing that has also become very clearly to the forefront is that narcissistic actions and gaslighting, basically blatant lying, gaslighting the society, and acting from a narcissistic and abusive standpoint. Right now, we have leadership that exhibits many of those types of characteristics and essentially gives a green light to that type of behavior. When leadership says, it validates hatred, validates these types of ways of being in the world, that's not helpful for the harmony of the society. However, it can serve a purpose because the hatred that's hidden under rocks has come out into plain view. And so now it's an opportunity for that to be healed. So there's a lot of hidden narcissistic tendencies within the society that have now been brought out into the open, into the light. And as such, this can now come to healing. So that's another part of this process that we're bringing forward, because truth is so important, right? Truth is so important. When we look at the world, when we look at our relationship with the web of life, when we look at our relationship to the earth, we have to see that from a place of truth. If we don't see that from a place of truth and honesty, then we can't make any types of positive or realistic, authentic changes. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so that's a big part of what we're doing in this journey as well. But of course, as with all journey work, we're going to allow our guides and our helpers, our power animals, our ancestors, our upper world teachers to direct. Okay, we're just going to set our intention, and they're going to do the direction of the healing. Okay, and so I see we have a couple of other people online now who haven't had a chance to introduce themselves. Anita and Jillian, if you would take a moment and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Gillian from Australia. Sorry, I'm late. Lots to get done after a big rainstorm. Thanks.
No worries. Thanks for joining us again, Gillian. And Anita, are you able to say hi? And Penelope's with us. Hi, Penelope. Just say hi to everybody.
Hi guys, my name's Penelope. It's nice to see some familiar faces, and yeah, appreciate all the new faces as well, all of you guys joining the call. I'm Scott's wife, and we've been doing the shamanic work together for quite a long time now. I fairly recently transitioned from the healer type archetype into the artist archetype, so that's been an interesting transition for me, but I still do the shamanic healing work for myself, for my family, and I love to come on these calls because I feel like it's really important to be, you know, just contributing in some way to the web of life. So I feel like it's just a really important time at the moment to for the planet. It's such a transitional time, and there's, as Scott was saying, there's a lot of energies that are trying to sway things a certain way in order to control the masses and have all kinds of negative effects on humanity. So I think, you know, it's really good if we can collectively, like we're doing today, use or tap into that source energy and our paranormals and really ask for that guidance as far as, you know, what can we do individually and collectively as a group here today to actually make a difference and shift the consciousness of the planet into a more positive direction, so that those negative energies can't sort of take control of what's going on. You know, those of us who, you know, it's kind of like may the meek inherit the earth. Those of us who are perhaps not necessarily that way inclined, not wanting to sort of be in the forefront. I think it's important that those of us do in our own ways start to stand up and you know, through journey work is just such a powerful tool to be able to contribute and make a difference to, it's just such a powerful way to make a difference to the status quo, and especially if we do it in a group like this. So I'm really excited to be here today. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Penelope. Thank you. And I want to actually comment on what you have to say because it's so important and insightful. You know, we don't have to stand up and be in front. We don't have to act force on force. In fact, it's really detrimental sometimes to act force on force when you're dealing with a very aggressive type of yang force. Okay, so when we work in the unseen world and the journey work, sometimes things can be done where it changes it and in a way without having to get into a force on force situation. It's more of a Tai Chi type of harmonizing with the energy. So the energy exists, okay? The energy of narcissism exists. The energy of repression exists. The energy of hatred exists. It's part of the creation. But how do we interface with that in order to take that energy and neutralize it and allow us to move forward as a society in a more harmonious way? Okay, and guess what? It's probably not, you know, there is a place for people to stand up and go force on force, but that's not what necessarily our mission is. Okay, so thank you for sharing that, Penelope. That's a really important thing that you said. And hi, Anita. Now we can see you.
Hey, nice to see you.
Yeah.
I'm calling from Shell Beach, California.
Great. That's a beautiful place. Thanks for joining us. And have you, just a question, have you journeyed before?
I was practicing journeying. I have did some things that were happening to me, like dreaming and things would also progress. And so I felt that I needed a little more guidance. So I'm coming to take your course.
Great.
My husband and I are coming.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. You guys are coming in December. That's right.
Yeah, for our
Thank
anniversary.
Hey, oh, congratulations. Thank you. I am so glad. I'm sorry I didn't recognize the name from the registration. So we look forward to seeing you in December. And did you have a chance to review the video that I sent out or sent you the link to about how to journey to the lower world?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to practice it a couple of times. So.
Great. So you've met your power animal. That's not going to be a problem.
I think so.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page here when we get down there, when the drumming starts, because I'm about to start the drumming here. And you know, I don't want anybody just hanging out there going, hey, what am I supposed to do now? So thank you. All right, so thanks everybody for joining. I'll just ask, anybody have any other questions before we start with the drumming? No, everybody's all good? Okay, that's great. So I'll just ask everybody to make sure that you're muted when the drumming starts. And we're going to drum for about 15 minutes. And so with the journey, if you're more advanced in the work and you're welcome to journey to the upper world, you're welcome to journey and work with your ancestors or your upper world teachers or any spirit helper that you like to work with for healing for the web type work. And if it's your first time journeying or one of your first time journeying, please just make sure you go to the lower world to meet your power animal and keep it simple. Okay, just keep it. I'm here to do the journey to help the web of life, and specifically for the outcome of next week's election to be what's in highest good and right alignment for the web of life. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, great. Here we go. Okay, well, everybody is still writing. Those of you who have already journaled, would you like to share what you were shown? Go ahead and jump in, somebody. Yeah, Mike?
I
Me?
will.
Okay.
Oh,
You want to go first? Ladies first.
it doesn't matter. I can though. So yeah, when I went down, so I went through a couple things, but the main thing that I was able to do was find a power animal. I have a couple that I've experienced, but one was a snake, and he confirmed it was, my power animal. And so for me, that just immediately means healing. And so just asking for the healing, obviously, what we were talking about for the web of life. Anyway, but it was apparent that I needed to explore and ask questions, and information that came to me, and if it's okay to say this, but it was like that Trump got damaged actually from ages of 12 to 14 is what came through to me.
Yeah.
Is that something? I don't know. I mean, that's just what came to me. Yeah. So anyway, so, because we have to help him heal, or I think we're going to be with him a little bit longer, if not. So that was that. But then I did move on to the upper world up there, and so anyway, and just really trying to tap into what's happening here with our country and what's not, and it it feels like to me that that we're going to see a change of hands here, and and so I was exploring, like, is it going to be a difficult process in the time being, and he said to me he will have no choice. So it felt like Trump will have no choice, that something will but this is just what I got. And so anyway, and it's like, and what do we need to do in the process and the time? And it was just like, it was, the messages kept saying, be as still as you can. And I'm losing the word that came to me. I didn't write it down quick enough, but anyway, it was really very much go peacefully amongst the crowds right now in what you're doing. Because I think there's going to be a lot of uproar with maybe other people, but it's like, remain calm through all of this. So I guess there was more, but those are maybe the main things that come to mind that I should share at this time.
Thanks, Sharon, for sharing that. And
Sure.
yeah, that just cracked me up about when Trump was damaged. That really, but it's not our job. It's not our job to heal him. Okay, so he can pay for a session. He's got plenty. He's got plenty of money to hire any of these wonderful healers on this call for a session if he wants to. Most narcissists do not like to do personal growth work, so
right.
That's their lesson. But I'm going to share more later, but I did also see that he's not going to have a choice, that there is going to be a transition, and it will be overwhelming. There will be an overwhelming vote against him, actually.
Nice.
I'll share more later, but thank you for sharing that. That just, I didn't mean to laugh, but it was just funny when he said he was damaged. That just cracked me up.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon.
So, Scott, this is Sequoia, and I stop me if this isn't inappropriate to disagree with you on that. But one of the things that I've been doing over the years is actually to be sending healing energies to some of these people who were damaged, like Hitler was one early on who really had bad childhoods, with the knowing that in the shamanic realm, we can actually change the present by having done that. We might not know that. We might have been in World War 17 yesterday, and because of the work that we've done last night, the world isn't that world anymore. So I've been sending healing energy, I don't know to what effect, to a number of our presidents over time because of that. I just wanted to share that
I
aspect.
appreciate the intent with which that is, but for me personally, I don't agree with that, because for a number of reasons. First of all, who am I to judge that they need healing? That's not my place to actually just judge that. Number two, even though they may need healing, they may not be ready for healing. So, I'm a pretty proactive with my personal growth and healing, but at the same time, there are also a lot of times that I'm not ready to face and confront those deeper issues in my life because, maybe I'm busy. I'm about to get on a call. I don't want to start looking at, if I'm about to host this call with, 18 people on it, it's not the time for me to start my personal process. I need to put that aside. So to receive that type of work in that moment wouldn't be appropriate for me, right? And likewise for anybody else. So it isn't really from a place of, oh, you know, stuff those guys, let them work it on their own. It's more just a matter of boundaries in that they have their own path, their own lessons to learn. And one of the biggest lessons is humility, to ask for help and assistance. And also not to, you know, like, especially with things like soul retrieval, that can bring, you know, shamanic healing is very deep, and it can bring a lot of emotions out within people. And so when it brings a lot of emotions out within people, you know, who knows how they react to that? There's a general prohibition on doing soul retrieval on somebody who is suicidal, because it might bring those emotions so deeply that were so deep up to the surface and cause them to act in an irrevocable way. So for me personally, I don't feel like to do that work on others. And then also as a healer, for my own self-protection, I don't want to be spending my energy in that way, right? That to me, if I'm giving my energy away in that way without any form of exchange, then that makes me very vulnerable to the types of people who will exploit that type of energy, right? So it doesn't have to be a monetary or financial exchange. It can be any type of exchange. It can be gratitude. It can be cooking a dinner. It could be just a sincere thank you and like a card, right? But to me, people have to come and they have to ask, and they have to say, hey, I am ready for this work. I want to do this work. Can you please help me? Right? In order for me to want to share that. That's different than when we're working on self-protection. So that's just how I look at that. So I'd like to just share that with you, Sequoia.
Yeah, and that was beautiful and really thorough. And that points out that I should be really clear. I'm not doing healing for these people. I'm just sending them healing energy that they have the opportunity to take in whatever way they choose. But yeah, I'm glad you thought this through so well.
Yeah, thanks, Sequoia. And they can, you know, this healing energy is there. If they choose to access it, they can, right? It's omnipresent, right? The creator is omnipresent, so that energy is available for anyone at any time to tap into, if they choose to, and obviously with assistance from, you know, somebody as well. So thanks for sharing that.
I just want to make a quick comment on that. I was actually shown something in the journey specifically about that, which I'll share more about my journey later. But basically, they were reminding me that there's a bit of a danger in trying to remote view those kinds of people, not remote view, but to go there and to try and do healing on these types of people, because they actually have a pretty massive force field around them, because they are aware of how energy work. Like, there is a lot of awareness actually about how energy does work with these people, and they do tend to protect themselves in that way and employ people to protect themselves. And so if any of us were to go and specifically try and work on the president or something like that, it could potentially be dangerous to you. So I was just wanting to communicate that, because you might go there with a good intent, but you might get pretty slammed by it. So yeah, I was showing an alternative way to approach that. So yeah, I don't know if you want to say something about that, Scott, but
go ahead and share your alternative way.
Sorry, what?
Share your alternative way.
Okay, well, I'll just share what I was shown in the journey. So the aspect of that was the light beings that I was working with actually went to the White House, and they and that's where they said, okay, we're not going to work on any individuals here. We're going to just lighten up the White House, because it can actually be like this institution, this political institution, can become a lighthouse for humanity. It's just been misused over many, many eons. And so I was shown to bring light into the White House, so that darkness cannot prevail in there, so that whoever's in there has to sort of be in the light more than in the dark. And so that's how I was shown that energy could be shifted. Yeah, and so I was shown, first of all, in the journey, that the responsibility is first to ourselves, for each of us as individuals, to connect with source energy with our power animals, and to do our best to keep ourselves clear, because as light workers, as people who are working in these realms, what we found, and I think there's been many of our students have reported this as well, is that the more we work in, do our own self-healing and work in these realms, the more of these shall I say opposing energies will try to challenge us and try to skew us away from our path basically. And so this is what's happening across the planet, is there's this kind of classic battle of the light and the dark, where those of us who are stepping up and who are really have the best interest at heart for humanity and for ourselves and for our families and for life on planet Earth, that is what's being challenged right now. And so those of us who do choose to step up and confront the darkness within ourselves and confront, just try and bring light into the world, will inevitably, those are the it's basically the light that the narcissistic energy is attracted to and will try to sabotage. And so we just have to be really aware of that for ourselves, not to fear it, but to just be aware of it and to keep ourselves clear from those energies. And it might show up as someone in your life, your ex-partner, someone in your family. You might find that there are people who represent that kind of narcissistic energy that has been perhaps showing up in your life. And so those are opportunities for us to step more into our light beings and not be drained by those people. And so I was shown that was basically then the theme of my journey. Was I went to the upper world and also to the lower world simultaneously. And I was shown that there's, again, and I've been shown this in numerous journeys every time we do this Web of Life journey, is that there is just a huge amount of support there for humanity available in the form of light beings, in the form of upper world helpers, in the form of power animals, many, many different forms, but they're all a representation of source, and they're all there to give us the opportunity to tune in and tap into our true selves. And so I was shown that this is the work that my helpers were doing, and they were just going around across the whole planet and just helping to remove blinders from people's eyes and from their spiritual awareness, and to be able to help people to tap into their own individual connection with source without anything in the way. And so I was shown that that's the key, is to basically help those of us who are ready to really wake up and to tune in to our true selves and to follow our true path. And by doing that, it's really going to shift the consciousness of humanity. And so then that's when I was then taken to the White House, and showing that, hey, this can be a beacon for humanity. There's a huge opportunity here. And so just to lighten that up and see what happens. And I was shown whatever the outcome that, you spoke before, Scott, about making sure that we check on, whatever the outcome as far as, how humans are going to react or respond. And I was shown that whatever the outcome, there is going to be reaction. And that's part of the cleansing process. That's actually part of the negativity that's coming out. It's like when you do a digestive cleanse, all kinds of crap comes out, literally. And that's what's happening across the planet right now, is there's so much stuff coming out, and it's so uncomfortable for so many people because the light is getting stronger and more intense. And so that does actually shine the light on and amplify those narcissistic behaviors in people. And so I was shown that, yeah, that's the main work here, is to just help people to, confront their own darkness and their own egos, and to be able to be more attuned with their true self. And yeah, and so then at the end of the journey, they were basically just going around the whole planet, just offering humanity an opportunity, as individuals, an opportunity to, hey, here's the light. Do you want to tune into it? This is the opportunity. you have the chance right now to tap into that part of yourself and to really be your best self and, you know, help with the raising of the consciousness of the planet. So yeah, so that was my journey. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Penelope. Thank you. So I wanted to share a little bit in response to that really quick, which is that, you know, Washington, D.C. as itself was laid out according to sacred geometry after the Revolutionary War. So I don't know if everybody knows that. So when you talk about filling that area with light so that it can be used in the proper way, that's very important, because it was laid out according to sacred geometry in order to amplify power. And therefore, if it can, that power could, its power is power, power is neutral, it can be used for good or not good. And so when you bring it to the light and bring that power into use for the positive reasons, that's a very powerful thing. And so what you're talking about, and also what Sequoia was talking about bringing in that healing energy, it's more like that. So the awareness of the people that are maybe surrounding the president who have gotten themselves in situations, there's been many people who have actually walked out of their positions within the White House or are thinking about it, can then be in positions of making positive choices. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to send healing energy or healing light. It's just, we just have to be very careful about it. And especially with what you were talking about, Penelope, about the all major world leaders have people who are there protecting their psychic space against remote viewing and remote influence. I mean, there's active programs within intelligence services to try and influence opposing world leaders. That's a known fact. And there's active protection being placed around them 24/7. So definitely do not ever try to remote view somebody like Putin or Trump or the guys in China. You'll get slammed really hard, okay? But we also have to be careful if we're sending that light specifically to that individual and there are people around him who are, you know, kind of guarding that space. If they feel that light, they can then use that and direct that. So it's better to do it more towards like the building or the government in general or the people in general to have an awareness. That's my opinion on it. Feel free to journey for more clarification about that, because if we are going to take the energy to sending that healing light and use our energy in that way, we want to make sure that we're being as effective as possible. So thank you both, Penelope and Sequoia.
Sorry, one more quick thing I want to share is that, yeah, on a lighter note, I was showing that each of us individually have our gifts to bring to the world, and this is the time to not delay that any further. And so I literally was in the middle of the journey. I was like, I meant to go and get my artwork and put it behind me here, because I'm just about to start sharing that with the world. And so that's just a representation of, you know, how each of us can bring whatever our gifts are to the world, because it's time for the world to see what we have to bring.
Yeah, by shining your light in whatever way is appropriate. That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Penelope. Thank you.
Scott.
Go ahead, Ronald.
I want to pick up on what you said about force versus force. That's a situation that's sort of been troubling me over the last few months during our lockdown and during our the exposure of leadership in Victoria, Australia. It's been pretty terrible. And I sort of wondered at a personal level, should I get up and join the fight, or is there another way of doing it? And the other way of doing it is to become a beacon of light. So that really came forward in the journey, and I'll just share that. I went down into a cave and there was a badger there. Now, I'm not familiar with badgers. They're a Northern Hemisphere animal. And I asked if it was my power animal, and it said yes. So I'll look into that. What I saw was the web of life in the colour that's in the background of Penelope's painting there that we can see. And the web of life is like the pattern on a soccer ball. You know, so there are intersection points. And one of the images is that of a match being struck in a dark room. If a room is totally dark and you light a match in that, then the darkness is dispelled by the light. So I'm just looking at my notes here. So in that web of life, what we can do without politics, without anything, without any sort of not, I won't say intent, but because we do have an intent, but without any overlays of any sort, what we can do is sit at one of those node points and just be light. And as we are light, the web of life that's around the planet in the color that Penelope has got changes to become a web of pure light, very, very strong, pure light. So we can do that, and we can sit in those nodes, our own personal node, in any meditation that we do or any journey that we do, and bring light. That's how to bring light to the planet without any overlays of political or even thinking about anything else, because all you're doing is altering the structure of the web from where it has been dark and its composition that it's been put into over many thousands of years. What you're doing is just pushing light into that, so that over time that web will change from a sort of darkish color into pure light. Now, when it changes into pure light, we too as beings will become beings of light. So that's what I got in there.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It's
the main point is it gives us a focal point for not joining force on force, but to just be as an individual and shine your light. Really shine your light at that nodal point in the web of life. That's the key.
Yeah, and it's really important to understand that, you know, light can't exist without darkness, right? And so it's yin and yang. They're two poles. And so it's a natural part of the cycle. So it's called reversal, right? So if someone is sending a lot of darkness, it can be reversed and translated into light and put back in the web in that way. It's very, you know, so that's a really profound, there's a lot of layers to what you were shown. In addition to how you're describing it, there's even more depth that I think it's hard to maybe even articulate it in language. But just having that image of sitting on those nodal points of the honeycomb, or as you said, the soccer ball, and letting that light spread out. It's sort of like we were down at the beach the other day, and it started to rain, and we were watching the raindrops fall on this little pond there, and as all the circles were intersecting of the ripples, that's the image that I get about the web of life spreading out. That when we put the positive energy in, it spreads out and then continues. So if many people are doing that at many different nodal points, then we have all these different ripples intersecting with each other and sort of overwhelming the web, not just one wave, but multiple waves, first emanating and then reverberating against each other in different combinations. So yeah, thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Mike, you were trying to share in the beginning there. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so this one was an interesting journey for me. They're always all interesting, but this one was really interesting. I went to the upper world and sat down with ancestors in the group. And this was the first time in a journey like this where I noticed right off the bat that a lot more energy and a lot more focus was needed. And I'll get to why in a second. So we sat down in a circle, staring at the fire, the entire group, and it was really awesome. But the thing was the focus and the concentration on the fire, which increased the energy levels. And we started doing the scan first on the United States and then basically on the entire world. Because when we talk about the web of life, a thing that sometimes easily gets forgotten is that an influence or parasitic behavior in one area is not disconnected from other parasitic behavior throughout the world. And once the areas that were red and congested, like in a normal scan that came up, the next thing that I saw was that these parasitic groups or areas, manifestations, that they are actually connected within a network of each other. So the influence in one side of the area actually influences the other side. And what I was shown is the focus is more like when we're doing the scans, but on a bigger scale. And in order to not drain ourselves in any negative way, the group was needed to focus that energy. I mean, everybody that was doing their own journey, I could feel that there was a sense of connection and everybody was working in that way to basically get rid of the darker energies and convert them over into light. And it wasn't us specifically, but more of spirit and source energy that was responsible for translating that energy from dark to light. And also by doing that, getting rid of these congestions in the different areas where things are rising up and there's a lot more negativity and a lot more aggression happening. So some of the things that I thought or was told, the most important thing was, we need to not forget that we're all connected. So these different types of parasitic behavior that we're seeing throughout the world, and especially right now, shortly before the elections, when we concentrate on the connections that we have and that we're pretty much the same, a lot of these pseudo differences that are not really differences that are manufactured through parasitic behavior, they will dissolve much faster than you think. And rather than focus on one specific person and giving them a healing, like you said, they didn't ask for it, so that's off limits for me anyway. It was more of focusing on bringing that balance back. So I'll need to journey again on the network of parasites that I saw. That was something interesting, but I think that's something for a different journey and not a discussion for today.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for sharing that. So I also was shown that network that you're referring to, that the way I was shown it was that the parasite is a way of thinking, and a system of belief, of essentially parasitic belief system of taking at the expense of the whole. So just the way a parasite will invade a body and eventually kill the host and drain the host. So there are people in the world who think that way, and some of them are in positions of leadership or power, sometimes authoritarian power. But what I was shown was really interesting, and I'm just going to share mine because it follows in so well from what everyone shared so far, and then we'll get to everybody else, which is that, first of all, even though there are parasitic behaviors in positions of power, people who have that way of thinking, that's actually been kind of normal. Like most people, to get to the quote top of the pecking order in politics, have to exhibit at some point some form of parasitic behavior. We don't have many leaders like, say, Nelson Mandela or Gandhi in the world today, and they were rare throughout history, right? So however, what's happened is that in the United States, Trump has taken that to an extreme, and through that extreme abusiveness, it has actually brought to light how prevalent that is within the society. And he has essentially given permission for others who share that type of belief system to come out from their rocks, to come out of hiding, and to step forth. He's essentially legitimized racism and other types of bullying behavior. Now that, of course, is not very palatable or nice. However, it served a purpose, because what I was shown is that you have the very vocal minorities on both sides. You have the vocal minority on the, let's just call it the pro-Trump side, and you have the very vocal minority on the anti-Trump side, and then you have the vast majority that is silent. And that the vast majority that is silent essentially is in the middle, and they're sick of it. They're over it. And that vast silent majority is not the people who are anti-Trump, who will get up there and, force on force say, I'm against this is horrible, right? Because oftentimes they live in areas where the vocal minority is so loud that they maybe even fear for their safety, right? So they're not going to get out and publicly say that. But I was shown just this massive wave of people who are casting their votes saying, I am fed up with this. And I can do this this is why votes are supposed to be done in privacy, right? So that the intimidation can't happen. That's part of the checks and balances built into the American system of governance, right? So that they can cast their vote without political intimidation or with minor amounts of political intimidation. And I was shown actually a massive wave of that, of people who are essentially just fed up. And I was shown at a broader level that American politics in general, at least for the past number of decades, has been more a referendum on what are people sick of, and how tired are they of the people, rather than what are they looking for, right? So how turned off by the sitting president am I, versus, or by the given candidates. And that's why in the previous election Trump was able to get elected, because there were many things about Hillary Clinton that he was able to focus on that turned people off. And part of it was her own, she brought it on herself through her own behavior. Okay. But Biden, I was shown, he actually is not, he's almost like Teflon. They're throwing all this stuff at him and none of it's sticking. And that I was shown that there's essentially nothing that they're going to be able to throw at him in the next 6 days that's going to influence that. And there's essentially a massive wave of silent people who are just so over the narcissistic behavior. On a broader level, now, of course, as some people have said, there will be reactivity to that. Okay? Anybody, when they're exposed, they're going to react. Narcissists, when they get kicked out, they're going to react. However, what I was shown was that it will be so overwhelming that he will basically go the way of any other mythical character who exhibited extreme hubris, and will then now have to find his humility as a result. So because he's accumulated so much extreme in one direction, he will now have to face his own humility. Whether he does or not is not really my problem, but he's going to be forced with that and essentially marginalized from this point forward after he leaves office. That it will essentially be peaceful. There'll be kicking and screaming and gaslighting and all the typical ranting and raving, but there'll be no choice. It will shift. But on an even broader level, societally, it has brought this to the light and consciousness of individuals. So in the society, not even in the politics, we know, we're now more aware of what narcissism is. We're now more aware of what gaslighting is, and we're now more aware as a culture of these types of things. So we can recognize it more, not just in our political leaders, but in individuals within the community as well. And so that's been a very big positive that will eventually come from all this pain. And as well, I was shown on a global level, it plays out in similar ways. It's just very present and extreme here in America right now because of the profound use of social media and also some of the other aspects of meddling and what the United States symbolizes on a global level. So yeah, that's basically the essence of the journey that I was shown, that it's part of a cycle, right? Extreme yang leads to yin, yin leads to yang. It's part of the cycle. It excess leads to deficiency. This is just part of the laws of creation, part of the laws of the universe, and he's pushed it too far. So now it's time for that to circle back. Okay, thank you for listening. Who'd like to share next? Okay, Lise, do you want to go ahead right now and share before you go?
Yeah, good idea. It's really interesting because I had such a similar experience. I got shown this very, very complex lit web with every single being in it, that it's completely indivisible, that any idea of separation is a false one, and it's always going to lead to real problems. And again, the emphasis was really on listening and sort of like growing your own light, doing your own work, really kind of making sure that you're sort of like fit in heart and spirit. I got this very beautiful message that we all come into contact with at least 1,000 people. So by 2 connections, if we're shining our light brighter, that's 1 million people that we can actually affect in some way. And it really kind of like puts an emphasis on the idea that we need to make sure that whatever we're putting out is in it from a really beautiful and kind of like lit up place. And so it's just this idea of how much influence that we have. And actually we've been made to feel very small and very dark, and it's a lie, and it's how we've kind of how the energy of everything has kind of like been really depressed, is just believing that we're powerless, that we're dark, that we have no nothing to kind of like offer, whereas actually everything starts with us. I got the whole kind of like water imagery as well. I was taken to the river and shown that you know, everything is connected, that there are millions and millions of tributaries that go off everywhere. So yeah, and the other thing that I got as well was that Trump is actually just an archetype. He's like a manifestation of the energy that we've allowed to kind of like grow up. He is all that he is a reflection of the kind of like the sort of the global psyche that we've been putting our energy and our efforts in completely the wrong place, and we've just kind of created this monster out of it. And it's not just, I mean, we've got our own issues in the UK, so
yeah.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. But yeah, really similar. That the work is here. And the other thing as well was listen. That we need to listen to each other more and stop attacking, and listen more to what people's fears and pain is as well. Just listen, not shout as much. So that
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's true about the archetype.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for that. And I think we have a couple of other people in Europe who are on the call right now. So why don't you go ahead? We have Vitor and Shushan who are here, both in Portugal, actually. So let's let everybody who's here at after midnight their time go ahead and contribute.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Portugal. Actually, so you see the sun behind me and the sea. Well, it was a very short journey for me, but very deep. Yeah, and I went to my ancestor, and I just got the message of be completely on the way of wisdom, inner wisdom, and not how do they nourish all this stuff, because here in Europe it's terrible how it is on Facebook or everywhere. Like people give their own sense of the stuff, judging everything. And so even if we are, I mean, like you said before, I don't know who, we are all connected. We are connected, of course, about your election there, and it has certainly many things to do here in Europe too. But here around, it's how do I say this? It's so crazy. Like people have need, I mean, to say something, to write something, to emit a judgment. So my what I got was really to stay completely in my energy and not be completely calm and trusting, and sending much love to everybody on this planet, you know, from my heart. And that's really the only way to trust that something is changing, something will change, and that yeah, that the only thing is to stay inside me. So it was the main message during this journey.
Yeah, thanks, Shushan. And that's important what you're talking about with on Facebook. You know, a lot of that stuff is fake too. A lot of that stuff is being put out there by people with an agenda to cause disruption and create conflict. And so it's really important that we keep our container and not buy into that. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, just keeping the light and moving it forward. Hi, Vitor. Nice to see your face.
Finally, Scott.
Yeah.
Can you hear me well? Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. So Vitor was supposed to be here in April and then in July and then in September. But travel plans have changed. So go ahead and share a little bit about yourself and your journey, please.
I didn't make much of the journey with you because I was the one of the connections that I entered late, a little bit late. But synchronicity is something wonderful. Before I entered, I was finishing work and I was doing my last work was a shamanic work, playing with my drum and all those things. With a very healthy group, and one beautiful thing happened during that session. We focused a lot, and the things that you are the things that you are saying, all of you are saying, not focused on Trump or election, not that, but on raising our energy, our conscious of everything that is happening. What is our role? What is our part to play in this story? Because if we chose to be here in 2020, living in this planet, we chose to live this experience, to have this experience in life, so our spirit can grow. So we have to understand what is our part. Our part is to center ourselves, focus on yourself, raise your energy, focus love on yourself. If you focus on yourself, everything around you will connect with the same frequency. So it doesn't matter if you send love, light, hate, it doesn't matter to anyone, Trump, Biden, whatever, all those people, doesn't matter. Because what matters is what inside you, the vibration that you are focused on. If you focus on love on yourself, everybody around you will benefit from that energy. So when I was driving, when you were playing drum, I was driving, so I was not connected to the meditations. So when I was hearing the drum, I was remembering the experience that I had when I was playing drum and all those things. And the conscience brought me to this conclusion. You cannot change other people. It's not your priority. It's not your obligation to change anyone. You have to focus on yourself. You have to change yourself. You have to heal yourself. If you don't heal yourself, you will suffer and you will make other people suffer. So you have to focus on yourself, heal yourself, respect, forgive yourself. The rest, it will come.
Yep. Thank you.
That's what I felt when you were playing. That's everything that I felt.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for staying present with driving. Not trying to turn you away. Thank you for that.
I was focused on the road.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But what you say is actually very accurate. We have to first take care of our own house. We have to take care of our own healing first.
That's one of my philosophies of life.
Yeah,
if you want to heal others, first you have to start with your own house, with your parents, with your children, with your wife, with your husband, then the people outside.
Yeah, you work on yourself, and then other people see that and they become attracted to that and they ask. And that's how we help to shift the consciousness, because it's all about shifting consciousness. You know, as that parasitic consciousness comes from a fear. It comes from a fear of lack, from a lack of abundance, right? That's the only reason why there would be a parasitic consciousness rather than a consciousness of working together, right? It comes from a fear of there's not going to be enough for me, so I have to take it out of you, right? But when we've done that personal work on ourselves, then we're able to work together. We're in a place where we can actually be a good partner, whether it's in a family or through friends or through work. And what I mean by being a good partner, a partner where the energy exchange is balanced, not one that gets taken advantage of either. Not a martyring partner, but a balanced and effective partner. Thanks. And Vitor and Shushan, I'm just curious, are you both in the same place in Portugal?
Probably not. I'm in near Lisbon. I live near Lisbon, like 20 kilometers from Lisbon. I don't know how much in miles. It's around 16 miles, something like that, from the center of Lisbon.
Shushan, you're muted.
Yeah, I am right now in Quinta de Conde, which is 40 kilometers south Lisbon.
I was very near you. I
Yeah,
was very near you. I was in
yeah.
Azeitão.
Oh,
was in
yeah.
Azeitão.
Ah, okay, okay. Many French are there too. Yeah. Ah, we
Okay,
have to meet then.
I'll make sure to connect you both by email. So
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
good.
thank you,
That's
thank
great.
you, thank you. Thank you. Perfect,
That's
perfect.
great.
Okay.
Excellent.
I love the small circles in the shamanic community here.
Yeah, yeah. World
I
is
have,
very small.
something that I normally say is the world is like a marble.
Yeah.
The world is like a marble. You take a turn and you find someone you know. I've traveled. I worked in other countries. I work in the UAE, in Angola, in England, and everywhere I go, I always find someone I know. Always,
Yeah,
always.
We say word is a village.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bye bye. See you then.
It was an
Thank you.
honor.
Thank you.
Very
Okay,
much
so that's
for-
our
for
European
everybody.
contingent. If you want to have a nice, you're welcome to stay. If you need to go to bed, I understand it's probably close to 1 a.m. there for you guys. So.
No, close
No,
to
no.
11:30.
Oh, okay, that's right. You're right. You're only
Yeah,
10
you
hours.
know,
Yeah.
it's better like that for me.
It's dinner time for you guys in Portugal,
Yeah.
right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you
who
very
would
much,
like to share? Who
everybody.
else?
Thank you.
Who else would like to share?
I'll share some things.
Thanks, Gillian.
So I loved just hearing what was going on, because during the journey I felt all that, and I went to the upper world and basically tapped into that great matrix that we talk about, little lighthouses on the soccer ball sort of type thing around the globe, and in no specific thing, but a holistic thing, where asking the light beings to sort of assist the world to come back into balance, and to bring the prophecies sort of into play, so that, you know, the condor and the eagle prophecy, and bring that together, and flood the world with flood that matrix with more light, so that more people awake. And you know, it's and I was thinking of Sequoia. She's not still here, but the Maoris always say to sort of send love where there's hatred and stuff like that, and where there's darkness, send light. So it's not that you're sort of and I totally, as a herbalist and healer myself, is totally, you don't sort of send healing unless you're asked to, or you don't give help unless you're asked to. It's a golden rule. But you can influence the matrix, and I think that's what we've all been doing. I certainly felt it. And just hello to Ronald, you're not far away. I'm in the snowy mountains in New South Wales. So just, yeah, beautiful flooding of light in that journey too, and employing all the power animals, and not going to the lower world, but gathering the things that I know that support me, and going to the upper world to ask for help, basically. Ask for help, ask for flooding of that whole web. And everything that we do is like a little spider running on a web. So every little beautiful piece of love and light that comes from the inner work of ourselves. I put some stuff on chat just because I was sort of going, oh, this is what I know. Doing that inner work has a great an alchemical effect, a transformative effect on that web. And that's why I like the name of your program, Scott. It's just awesome. The Web of Life. The Web of Life is a whole thing that we're all, everyone said it, we're all connected. We're all, you know, we're all guilty in a way of narcissism, you know, and it's just being, some of that's just being human, you know. You have to look after your own neck of the woods, but the inner work and the transformative thing is to be able to switch off the monkey mind and be able to see what's really going on, and influence it with the light and the love that you're bringing to that matrix. So that's basically what my journey was about, and also to my business called Healing Nature, and my passion is that we have to reconnect and become those that role of sacred earth keepers. That's the spreading of light that I feel is the purpose of being the shaman, the alchemist, or whatever you like to call it, on that web of life, is bringing people out of their nature, disconnect back into nature, working with the whole of Mother Nature and everything, every realm, to restore the balance. And that in part is hopefully, it takes a lot of awakening of a lot of people. So I feel we need assistance on that one.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Gillian. And that's our role as humans, to be sacred earth keepers. To be custodians of the earth. That's our purpose on the planet as human beings. That is our purpose. So there's a way in which we can tend a forest and still live from the forest, but that provides for the longer term health of that forest, as opposed to just take everything, right? Yeah. So we obviously need the resources of the earth to live, and at the same time we can harvest those resources in a way that is beneficial for the long-term health, tending it, right? Just like when I take food from my garden, I don't chop down the tree and take it all, right? I do it so it grows more. It's just applying that on a macrocosmic scale. So that's very important. And I don't think we are all guilty of being narcissists. I think narcissism means that is a term describing an extreme of where we take for ourselves to the disregard of others all around us, as opposed to caring for our own house in a way that is sustainable, right? So we do absolutely need to take care of our own house.
Everyone's narcissistic, but we have that. As humans, we have that aspect in our personality.
Oh, yeah, of course. We're focused on ourselves, but it only becomes an imbalance when it's a personality disorder.
Yeah.
Right. So it means that tendency is out of balance, right? As opposed to, we all have all our tendencies within us, absolutely. But when we're talking about someone being a narcissist or suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, then it means that tendency is so far out of balance that it is running the show, as opposed to being in harmony with everyone. So yeah, I just want to clarify that. I know you get that, but for anybody else who's going to be listening later. Yeah. Thanks, Gillian. That's really beautiful.
I'm gonna shoot off. So thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us again.
See you next time.
Scott, just quickly, and Gillian, Scott, are you able to forward my email address to Gillian?
Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
If Gillian likes, she can reply by email.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Sounds good. See ya.
Okay. Yeah, it's wonderful connecting people who are in similar parts of the world. I love it. This is one of the benefits of technology. We had New Zealand, Australia, Portugal, England, Germany, France, parts of America, Canada on the call today. I don't know if I'm free, Hawaii. So I think that's pretty amazing to have people from all over the world at the same place and same time. So thank you all for being here on Hawaii time as well.
Yeah, and you can feel it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's the web spreading out. Yeah. Thank you. So we have a couple of other people here who haven't shared yet. I have Lou, who we haven't met. Lou, are you able to come on and talk to us and share a little bit about yourself and your journey, if you were able to do a journey with us? Okay, you have to leave. Fair enough. And Rose, would you like to share what you were shown? You just need to unmute yourself. There we go. I got you.
Okay. So hi everybody. I'm from Boston. There's nobody around here that I can have as my shamanic friend, but I'm so glad to be here and listen to you all and learn from you all. It's just been so wonderful for me to take part in this. I'm very new at this. I'm in the intermediate class. So my journeys, I feel like self-conscious. I feel like they're very simplistic compared to, I think others are more profound. Mine are more like, sort of like animal based, because that's kind of what led me into this in several ways. So I'm really concerned about the wildlife. More than humans, but I think maybe as much as humans. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's really a big concern of mine in my soul. So in this journey, I went down into the ocean of Hawaii, which I've been to 9 times in this lifetime. And what was there were the beautiful wildlife of dolphins, whales, turtles. And it was interesting because they have been benefiting from the pandemic because there's hardly any tourists. They're breeding, they're benefiting, there's less pollution, but then also they're terrified about what if this goes in a wrong direction. Dolphins and whales could actually become extinct, I believe. I got that from Greenpeace, which I'm a member of. So it's so sad that people, as we're, as Scott was saying, all of you were saying, I think we're all in agreement here. We have to care for the web of life. And I guess that's just where I'm coming from. Like my main concern is I think animals are so innocent compared to humans. I guess maybe I'm just so new on this whole path, but my concern is that our obsession with politics and all of those are valid concerns that we also have to think about, the wildlife and the animals, because they do have feelings, they do know, they have senses, and they're confused. That was basically what I got. And then the other thing I just wanted to chime in, I think it was Ron who chimed in from south of the equator who saw badgers. I have badgers.
That was Ronald.
Yeah, Ronald. I have them all over my backyard. I have never seen them until I moved here last year. So it's just funny. Maybe we can connect because I don't know why I'm seeing badgers everywhere. I don't know what they mean. They almost walk into my parking lot. Yeah. I have no idea. So it's just funny. And that was really it. I didn't have a big political statement other than, as I said, I'm just new on this journey, and we have to consider the wildlife, I think.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Well, the wildlife is definitely part of the web of life. The web of life is not just human beings. And so the intent is really so that, our leadership as human beings do have a big impact on the web of life. We can be extremely impactful on our world. We've all noticed that. And so the importance is that we move forward with leadership that does consider things like wildlife and the web of life and living in harmony and being custodians of those animals. So yeah, it's a really important thing that we consider. Thank you for that. Thank you, Rose. And I did just receive an email from someone who was unable to join us live, but she did do a journey. And I'm going to share that with everybody. And she said that she journeyed to the lower world and asked to be shown the web of life. And she said, the strangest thing happened. I heard a loud roar like thunder. It was so loud that I came out of the journey. But the noise continued, and I went back and was shown a large net that was held above a healing fire. In the area of the ancestors of the land, it had a tear. So the net is the web. It had a tear that went across the entire circle. splitting it in half. The tear also went in a curved direction, and there was more tearing. Eagle then flew above the tears, and with gold dust and thread and a salve repaired the net with gold material. And the message was simple: humanity has lost its wisdom of self. We have become disconnected from self and from our environment. And then she shares that her personal part is to ramp up her shamanic work and her artwork, and to use her time to go inward. When she returned, the loud roar had disappeared and was gone. So that aligns very much with many of the things that we were all shown about going inwards and about doing our personal work and caring for the web of life in that way. I will say that healing those tears, healing those connections, and it is our job to be custodians of the web of life. That's part of our purpose in the world. So thank you all very much for participating with us today. Look forward to seeing you all next time. And anybody else have anything they want to share before we say goodbye? No? Okay, we're all good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody's willingness to dedicate your time and energy to this cause. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say a quick thing.
Oh,
just want to acknowledge you, Rosemary. I think your journey was really profound. And I also saw, I forgot to mention, I also saw a connection with the animals of the planet, as far as, the energies that are there to help us really are trying to reconnect humanity with nature, and specifically with the animals. And so that was really profound to hear what you had to share, because even though you viewed it as simplistic, it actually is very profound, because without the animals and without the natural worlds, humans can't really survive. So yeah, it's pretty fundamental to the survival of humanity. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, we'll see you next time. Have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, wherever you are.